you go through a process. I remember when I hired our implementer, our EOS implementer, we went through a specific exercise, a very detailed process with my entire team to create core values that were true to us, that were meaningful to us, that were emotionally charged, and that drove us. Business needs to exist for more than just making money. Yes, every business needs to be profitable. Otherwise, you're not going to be in business very long. But the team members will stay and really get behind it when there are core values that are meaningful to the business and meaningful to the team members of the business. So hopefully you have that in place. If not, again, you can leverage this, theflipempire.com. If you go to the search bar, you can leverage the, just put in core values. I've created quite a bit of content and shared some episodes on that. And again, the book Traction, I think, does a phenomenal job of really going through identifying your core values. But whenever you onboard somebody, and hopefully this is something you covered in the interview process, but day one, when I bring somebody on, the very first thing I'm doing is we're reviewing our core values. We're reviewing every single core value in detail. We're talking about it. We're discussing it. I'm asking them if they have any questions. I'm making sure that I get buy-in. If a team member you bring on does not buy into your core values, it's a bad apple. It's a recipe for failure. It's a recipe for disaster, and it can start to infect the rest of your organization. So assuming you have a set of strong core values, hopefully you've taken the time to go through them with the applicant in the interview process. And if you've hired them, it's because you believe they're a match for every single one of your core values. Please hear me and hear me loud and clear. The core values is something that every single box has to get checked off. If you have 5 core values, do not hire somebody that only meets 4 of them. Definitely don't hire somebody that meets 2 or 3 of them. Every single box in your core value has to get checked. So I'm assuming if you're onboarding someone and you're training them, hopefully they already meet all of your core values. But take it a step further. Ask them what your core values mean to them, right? So one of our core values was going above and beyond. That was one of our 5 main core values, is going above and beyond. When I would onboard somebody, day one, I would go through our 5 core values. As an example, I would say, what does this mean to you, going above and beyond? And I would make sure that their definition, or what they perceived that to be, was in alignment with, why we created that as a core value. Like, what is it about going above and beyond that's so important that it would be one of 5 core values for us? And I would actually walk them through the exercise, the process we went through. I made sure that they understood that our core values wasn't just something that I just thought of, or I Googled, hey, core values. Oh, integrity, that sounds great. Being loyal to customers, that sounds good. Like, no, I made sure that there was buy-in, that they understood there was a very specific process we followed in order to come up with these curated core values. So once we review the core values, our purpose, our cause, and our mission, I make sure that they understand that, yes, our business is here to make money, but our business is here for more than that. It's meant to serve, whoever you're serving, right? It's meant like, what is the bigger purpose or reason for your business? I made sure that there was buy-in. And by the way, one thing in our team is that every single team member had to have memorized our core values and our purpose and our cause and our mission. At any given point, they knew that they could be called upon to share our core values, and it had to be like on site. They just knew it, right? So it was something that they didn't just memorize, but they internalized because it actually meant something to us. So moving on, I would also set expectations, right? I would set expectations of what it means to be a part of our team, right? Not just not just in their specific role, but what does it mean to be a team member? What does it mean to live our core values internally within the company and externally to customers, other vendors, title companies, investors, people that we worked with? So what did it mean to be a part of our organization, right? And so we would set expectations. For example, one of our expectations was, if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. And what that means is, in fact, we even took it a step further. And if you connect with any of my former team members, they'll tell you, we actually had a late policy. If somebody was a minute late, it was a $50 donation to the charity of their choice. And there was only a few times that I can remember that somebody was late, but To me, that was a sign of them not valuing other people's time. And so that's just an example of setting expectations. Our expectation is that we're going to be early, and that means you're on time. If you're on time, that means you're late. And by the way, I don't want to make it sound like I ran a boot camp. We had fun. It was loose, but we were about our business. And so, talk about expectations, and expectations are a two-way street. So not just, hey, here are my expectations of you. What are your expectations of me as the leader of this organization, right? I didn't even use the word employee or boss or anything, but like supervisor, but what's your expectation of me? What's your expectation of your team members, right? And it's always interesting to hear people's expectations. And I would make sure that there was buy-in on both sides, that we understood what was expected of each other, and then we would move on. We'd review the accountability chart, right? If you read Traction, they call it an accountability chart. And I would actually give them a physical handout of our company manual that has our core values. It has testimonials. It has our purpose, cause, and our mission. It has a printout of our accountability chart, right? So there's the visionary at the top. Then you have the COO, or the integrator. And then you had the different departments within the business, right? You had finance and admin. You have acquisitions, you have dispositions, there's a marketing department. So depending on how your business is structured, you walk them through all the departments in your business. You show them who's responsible for each seat, right? What's every seat's main KPI that they will be led, managed, and held accountable to. When I talk about expectations prior to, sharing about the accountability chart, I make sure that they understand accountability is a big part of our DNA, right? And I remember one thing that always stuck with me. I had a particular season where I was having a hard time just kind of managing a particular person. I couldn't get this person to I couldn't hold them accountable. They would say they'd do something, they wouldn't follow through. And I kept, as I do with everything, I looked at myself and I said, where am I going wrong? Like, where am I failing here? And ultimately, I had a conversation with a coach, and he says, you know what the key is to holding people accountable? He said, hire people that are going to hold themselves accountable. And what he was really referring to was a certain standard. I needed to hire A players, rock stars, that their standard was nothing below being exceptional. So we review the accountability chart, not just their specific role, but everyone else's role and what's their interaction. So if I'm hiring an acquisitions manager, how does the acquisitions manager communicate, relate, and work with the lead manager or the dispositions manager once they get a property under contract, or the different departments within the business? Then we get into their specific role. Right? I want to hear from them. What is your understanding of your role? What is your role meant to accomplish? What role do you serve within the organization?